Okay, so I'm going to try to show you a way to make a stretchy spline using the shelf that I just sent you. So first I'm going to go to the side view here, and I'm going to make some joints. So I've got a joint here and a joint here, and I'll up the view of the joint. So display. I always forget where that one is. Where are you? Animation. There you are. Joint size. Okay. That's AFK joint size. Okay. Display, animation, joint size. There you go. Okay. So I've got a joint that'll work like an arm. Okay. So in the outliner, and I made a button for the outliner over here. I got two joints. So we'll just call this main joint, and we'll call this main end joint. Okay. So now I got my joints for the main arm. So this is like a lower arm if you want to think about it this. So this is like the elbow, and we'll just bend the elbow. Awesome. Okay. So then I want to make a control for this because I like to use controls for everything. So I'll go to my curves and make some kind of control, and I'll just V-snap it over, and we'll just call this main anim. Okay. And then I'll parent the joint to that. And before I parent it, I should undo. I should freeze the transforms. So we'll freeze the transforms, delete the history. I don't need creation history on the curve. So then main joint gets parented to main anim. So when I take this and rotate it, it'll do that. And all my zeros, all my zeros all my channels are all zeroed out when I rotate back on the control. Sweet. Okay. So then next, yeah, that's a pain. It's only recording like a third of the screen, so that can go away. Okay. So then next, I want to make a set of joints that are right on top of this joint. I'm just going to move them up so you can see them. Now the way I like to do that is to duplicate the joints that I have already. So I'm going to take this, this main joint, and I'm going to duplicate the main joint. So in the outliner, you can see I've got main joint 1 and main joint end joint again. So I'm going to take them out from the main anim, so I'm just going to middle drag down here so that they're separate. And so you can see what's going on. I'm going to take the new main joint and just move it up a little bit so we can see, you know, what's happening. But I would keep them on top of each other eventually. So I'm going to call this bendy joint. So we'll just go bendy. And then I'll put a number, 1 underscore joint. I'll rename this anyway. So anyway, that's my main bendy joint. Now, Jason Schleifer has some scripts, and these are the scripts that I have in this shelf that I sent you. So if you go and install the icons, then they'll all match what I have up here. So what's nice is you don't have to like divide joints in parts. You don't have to find halfway joints, and you don't have to do any expressions to do stretchies, which is really, really, really helpful. I also use it to split. There's a nice split polygon in here to make things more symmetrical, and there's some nice copy pivots as well. So there's some cool stuff in here. So anyway, I'm going to take this bendy joint, the main bendy joint, and I'm going to go to this icon here called Split Selection. And how many joints do you want? Let's do 8. It's a good number. Hit OK. What should happen is it'll split that joint into 8 equal parts, and it'll name them all as part of the segments, which is sweet because they're all even. That's a hassle to do otherwise, and the first and the last one are exactly where the first and the last joint were, which is great. If you don't like the naming, then you can select all these, and he's got a pound rename here. So if you click on the pound rename, then you can rename your joints. So I'm just going to call this bendy underscore pound underscore joint, and whatever's in the pound, it'll renumber. So I'll hit enter, and it renumbers bendy 1, bendy 2, and so on and so forth. So now I've got all my bendy joints lined up. Nice. The last thing I want to do is I want to make a joint for the beginning of the bendies and an end of the bendies, and these are going to be my control joints. These are going to really what makes the bend what you can control them with. So to do that, again, I'm going to duplicate, because this way they're precise